Most of us here are aware that India is no more a cheap destination. There is no competitive advantage when it comes to staff costs. And the business leaders who are sitting here will agree with me that in the services industry or in the technology industry, more than 50% of the costs are staff costs. And when the staff cost goes skyrocketing, then the management needs to come out with alternative strategies. Mobility. People are mobile. Yeah? 10 years back, we heard this morning in the last track, the old school, the thoughts in the old school and the new school. Today, people are looking at newer ways of working. People are asking straight questions, whether they could work from home. That's an issue. And then this morning we heard the expectations from Her Excellency this morning on Generation X expectations. These guys who come into the organization are not looking at careers. Is there anything wrong with it? No, I don't think there's anything wrong. It's just that we are working, we are in the industry at a point in time where the expectations are different. Can we change those expectations? Come on, let's be realistic here. We can't. We need to build programs to match these new ambitions. We need to create HR programs around the new Generation X expectations. Let's not forget the competitiveness, the external competition. Do people switch jobs because of money at certain levels in the organization? My straight answer is no. Gone are those days when people would shift jobs for a few $100. No, they would not switch jobs. There are softer factors. This morning we heard on track 1 as to how important it is for an individual to get that wow feeling on day 1. And I'm sure it's not just on day 1, but every single day. Every single day we would like our staff, our employees to come into the organization with that wow feeling. And the day that wow feeling goes, then that staff member or an employee will start looking at job advertisements or will start networking. Expectations have changed. 5 years back, social networking was unknown. Today, recruitments are happening on social networking. Yeah? It's not just reference checks, it's recruitments. I have known recruiters. My 3 clients with whom I'm working are all in the technology space. And the recruiters are constantly scouting for new talent on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and you name it. It's all social networking. So you have to get the right people. They go into social networking, which was not happening before. Which means that HR processes and systems need to be geared up to address these issues before the competition addresses. Strategy, structure and roles, leadership, culture and climate. Need to clearly clarify the primary purpose of anticipated benefits from the talent management practices. Where does talent, why should this organization get into a talent management practice, or why should an organization have a talent management practice? Is it because the competition has, or is it a fad, or is it the genuine requirement in the organization? Why? This needs to be clarified, and this needs to be clarified not in the human resources shop, but in the CEO's shop. It's unfortunate, but then if the CEO does not get involved, my friend, that's a time, that's a time where HR can get transformed from a strategic role onto an administrative role. There is no two ways about it. Yeah? Talent management as a practice, or talent management needs to be clearly aligned with the goals of the organization. How can it be done? Today, when I sit, in my last 20 years, in 10 years, I've sat on management teams and served on boards. And the question I've always asked my colleagues on the management team was, why do you want a talent management practice? What do you want to achieve of this? Because if the organization has plans, say, to double their revenues in say 3 years, My question was, what does it take for an organization to double the revenues in 3 years? And we clearly come out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items and then start addressing them. And one of it is building talent within the organization and preparing the talent within the organization to actually help the talent to move to the next level. It's the leadership that needs to demonstrate value of the talent management practice. I am a firm believer that the entire talent management practice or the talent management needs to be owned by the CEO and the leadership and nobody else. It's the HR which needs to be a consultant, guide and a coach to the CEO. Only then will it work, my friends. Otherwise it won't work. We are kidding ourselves. It won't work. It just does not fly. Unless and until somebody here in this group has a magic wand. This is my experience. The talent management practice, as I told you, has to be the line responsibility and not a staff function. And I deliberately use the word should not, because the moment I use the word should, it becomes a value. It is not, it's a must. It needs to be the line responsibility. Who runs training in the organization? It is HR which facilitates, but it has to be run by the line management. And when I say it is the responsibility of the CEO to run an HR process, it's not by making a CEO the head of the steering panel. No, I'm sorry. The CEO needs to be there in the front, leading the show. Only then can it be successful. It's creation of a talent management culture in the organization which attracts and retains. Today, talent management as a practice is not important just for the organization internally. I have used this practice to attract talent from outside. My first experience in the technology space was in the year 2000-2001, when I joined a very small Indian organization called Aditi Technologies. I don't know whether most of you have even heard of this name. We were unknown in the technology space. We were unknown because the big three were doing all the noise. We had Infosys to Wipros to TCS to all the big ones. They were making a lot of noise. So my challenge at that point in time was to attract the talent into the organization. So what did I do? I went around and created a lot of noise on what a small organization like ours can offer to the candidates, which bigger ones cannot even dream of. So I still remember the first ad that we released to the world as a part of the recruitment campaign. My first ad that I ran in the company for a recruitment campaign was to publish my founder and CEO's CV in this ad and said, if you like this CV, send in your CV. Well, I encashed on the CEO's CV because the CEO is the inventor of Excel and made $600 million. That's about strategy. Selection, onboarding, exiting. This morning I think we have heard a lot on how important onboarding is all about. Today, it's become so important, especially in the technology space, in the services industry, where the newcomer needs to hit the board running on day 9. Day 9, which means there is a window of just 1 week. On day 9, the person has to hit running, be it be a programmer, be it be a project manager, or be it be a guy from the sales and marketing or HR, which means the window of 7 days is to learn. And this window is going on decreasing. And I will not be surprised if this window comes to day 0 very soon. So onboarding has become extremely important. And one way of doing this, one way of ensuring that that onboarding process is robust is by clarifying the matrix in the HR uses in the organization to measure the success of onboarding. The use of predictive talent competency models. My friends, I don't want, there's a lot of people talking competencies here. My language, what do I mean by competencies when I use the word competency? In my view, when I use the word competency, it's nothing but behavior. Competency is nothing but a behavior. Yeah? Competency is a behavior. So whenever I mention competency, it's my behavior, or it's the behavior that I address. Today there are tried and tested predictive competency models that are simple to the core. Simple to the core. Today, with these three organizations, all three, as I told you, are in the technology space. And in the technology space, it becomes even more important to make things very simple, to keep it very simple, because of a lot of internal and external pressures in the organization. We have competencies, simple 5-6 competencies for each function, where we have identified with the clients on what these 5-6 competencies that determine outstanding performance from a group. And then we run these competency models through a 360-degree exercise, and then we evaluate these competencies. And these competencies are used only for developing people and not to determine salaries or compensation in the organization. It's extremely easy. It's extremely easy to use these competency models because we are living in the technology arena. Today there is technology available to assess competencies. 10 years back it was a struggle to do a 360-degree exercise in organizations. It was a huge paper exercise, but not anymore. Yeah? You have a software like Shenit or SAP HR or HR 2000. You have 20 different global softwares which provide this. But it's the organization which needs to put in the competencies that are required, or the behaviors that are required, which determine success in the organization, and then accordingly evaluate them. Become very easy. And I don't think I need to dwell more on the role the exit interviews play in the organization in understanding why people are leaving. Reward and recognition. Talent management does not stop at providing training in the organization. All these components are tied together very tightly. Very tightly. Ensuring total remuneration, whether the total remuneration that is provided to staff is competitive. How is it related to talent management? How is remuneration related to talent management? Today, we had this wonderful dialogue when I made a similar presentation to one of my clients. When they recognized that when they bought my proposal to go in with competency assessments, and then they were almost on a single track on assessing competencies. And then suddenly in between, we realized that their compensation was somewhat haywire. It was not fitting. That's when I had to go back to the organization and tell them that, look, you can't run a single track program like competency assessment without looking at compensation. And here we are looking at differentiated compensation. Today in organizations, we need to clearly identify and reward superior performance or outstanding performance. And the compensation difference has to be visible in the organization, at least in the services or in the technology space. Only then will we do justice. It's a ruthless world, especially the technology world. It's a ruthless world. I don't do it, somebody else will do it. I lose the race. It's as simple as that. Yeah. It needs to be highly customized. It's unlike the traditional manufacturing or traditional industry where you have a set of components which determine compensation. No. Today we have the luxury of technology to customize the entire compensation package which suits an individual and the legal requirements in the organization. It's possible. And then I'm sure all of us are aware of retention.